Welcome to your 2026 Essex walkthrough in the floor plan of 4569. If you come up front here, we'll start with the dash area and the HWH leveling. Okay, so the first control pad that you see here on the left side of the driver's console is your HWH leveling control. And to power this leveling control up, you just reach over and turn the ignition on, or turn it to accessories, and you'll see you get additional lights that come on here that indicate we're slightly off level. And to level the coach, you can do it manually by pressing these buttons for extend and retract, or you can just hit the auto level button. Now, before you put your coach into auto level, or you do it manually, you're going to want to walk around the coach and just make sure that there's nothing underneath where the jack pads are going to be extending towards the ground. And you also want to check the reveals on your slide out. Make sure that your slide out reveals are about an 1/8 inch. Or excuse me, make sure that your slide out reveals are 3/8 of an inch. And then you'll be able to go into auto level after you've run your slide rooms out. So leveling should only take place after you've checked your reveals and made sure that you can run your slide rooms out. After the slide rooms are out, then you'd want to go into the leveling process. So to do that, you'll turn the key on, hit auto level, and what you're hearing is the air going out of the bags as the coach is going into the leveling process. It takes a minute or two to go through the complete leveling cycle, and once each jack is down, you'll see a red light that comes on to tell you that that jack in that corner is down. So you can see the coach is slightly moving as the jacks are going down. If the area that you're on has too much of a slope, then the excess slope light would come on, and then you'd have to move your coach to a more level position. But we're good here because the excess slope light is not on. If at any time during this process you want the jacks to store and go back up, you would just hit auto store. But now you can see all of our jacks are down and our yellow lights are off, showing us that we're in a level position. So now we can turn off the ignition. And what you were hearing there was a warning signal that the ignition was on while it was in the leveling process, because the air wasn't in the airbags anymore. So now we're level, and we'll do the exact reverse process for auto store that we did when we ran our slides out. So to go into auto store and bring the jacks up, we turn the key on, let the coach air up, run the slide rooms in, and then after the slides were in, then we would go into auto store. So we'll show you that. Turn the key on. After the coach is aired up, then you would go into auto store. As each jack retracts, in the corner of your coach, when it's fully retracted, the light will go out. So before you travel, you want to make sure all your red lights are out. All right, so your last jack is up. The jack warning sound has gone away. And once you have full air in your airbags, you'll be able to travel. So right now, it's showing that we have auto stored. Again, if you at any time wanted to, you could extend or retract these manually, but it's just about as easy to use the auto level and then auto store button to level. The gear touchpad, or the touchpad control for forward, which is drive, D, or reverse, is your Allison touchpad here. When you're ready to travel or put the coach in reverse, D would be drive, R is reverse, and N is neutral. Whenever you select one of those, it will appear in this display. So we'll show you a quick visual on what you would see when you do that. You would start the engine. You'll see it gives you the indication that you're in neutral now. If I put the coach in drive, it will show D and the gear that I'm in. So I'm in the first gear, N is neutral, and I already put on the brake before I switched it into gear. If I wanted to move the coach, I would have to release the parking brake by pushing it forward. Whenever you park the coach, you want to put it in neutral. There is a mode button here. You can go through the different modes to see the engine oil temp and or errors may appear in this window, but typically you want to watch and see what your gear is doing. And you can scroll through when you're in the mode. You can scroll through here once the transmission temperature comes up. Once the transmission is up to temperature, you can press the minus and plus arrow to see what the level is of the oil in your transmission. So in front of your Allison transmission gear shifting, you have your window control here on the left. If you press that, you can hear it open and close. In the center, you've got your engine brake. If you turn it back, you'll see the off illuminates, and that means your engine brake is off. So if you want assistance with braking, you want to leave that on, and then you can select whether you want it in low, medium, or high. So if this is off, you won't be able to select those, but as long as it's in the on position, you can select the amount of brake assist here. The engine brake automatically engages if you leave it in the on position when you take your foot off the accelerator pedal. We have your cup holders here. In front of that, we have your automatic phone charger. Just place your phone here. As long as it's touching the back here, it will automatically charge. Your parking brake is here. Your parking brake is always pull to apply and push to release. So just to give you a demonstration on that, if I put my foot on the brake pedal and I push, that's releasing the parking brake. If I pull it, that is setting the parking brake to on, and you always want to set the parking brake when you come to a stop and you're going to park your coach. Just to the right of that, you have your mirror control, left and right. Once you put it in the position of the mirror you want to adjust, then you just press and hold until that mirror moves into the position you like. There's left and right and up and down here. When you're done adjusting the left, you can then go over to the right adjust it the same way. In the center is just neutral, so you're not adjusting anything if it's in the center. Just to the right of that is the switch for the heat of the mirror. So if you turn that on and it illuminates, that means the heat on the back side of the mirror is on, and that will help defrost it or take the fog off of the mirror. If there's no fog or frost on it, then you don't need that on. You'll notice here that all of my switches are illuminated because I've got my lights on. If I turn them off, you can see here that my back lighting goes away. So that's my fog light. These are my headlights. And I also have a dim switch here. Just below that, I can make them bright or dim. I have a dome switch in my overhead. I have a auto high beam switch. If I leave the auto high beams on, they'll automatically dim when oncoming traffic is close enough. If I don't want the auto feature on, I can turn it off or cancel it, but then I'll have to control the bright and dim switch manually on the left turn signal lever. Just below that, I've got my automatic traction control override. Here, you can see the icon light up when I turn it on or off. We have our automatic disable for our tag air dump here and our air horn here. The air horn, if I turn that off, then when I press the horn, it just is a street horn. If I want the air horn on, which is much louder, then I would turn that on so it illuminates. Just below the air horn and tag dump, we have our seat settings. So you can automatically set the seat to the position you like so that when you get back in the seat, it'll automatically adjust. To do that and set your seat where you like, put it in the position that you like the wheel and the seat back. Once you do that, you press the set button and press number 1, 2, or 3 and release. That will set your seat so that when you come back in the next time, you won't press the set button. You'll just press the number 1, and then your seat and your wheel and all your settings that you had pre-selected will go into that position, so you don't have to reset everything each time that you sit down. And you have 3 different settings, so each driver can set their own position that they like. If you don't have 3 drivers and you'd like to use the 3rd setting to just tilt the wheel out of the way and the seat in the back position where it can be rotated, you can do that and use the 3rd setting to actually move the wheel and the seat back or out of your way. It's just a convenient way to get the wheel and the seat in a position that you will be able to exit the driver's seat easier. Right. So the 2 plugs down here, the first one, or the one on the top, is the plug that goes over to the radio control. It's auxiliary and USB. The one below that is just USB-C charger. On the left side of the column here, I have the turn signal control, and whenever I have the left turn signal on, it shows the left camera. Right turn signal is going to show my right camera. The cruise control is also on the left hand or right hand signal. Just by turning it on and off here to set it, I can turn it on and then I set it here. And then for bright or dim lights manually, the indicators here, I can dim or make my headlights bright. There's an additional hazard switch right here. If I pull this out, you can see my hazard lights come on. To cancel the hazard lights, just pull down or push forward on the lever, and that cancels them out. On the floor, near the floor, there's another pedal here, a small pedal. If I press that pedal, then I can release my wheel and make any adjustments for up and down, to tilt the wheel while I'm driving, or to get out of the seat. It also telescopes the wheel in, out, and then once you release the pedal, it stays in that position. On the steering wheel itself, there's 3 clusters. These 3 clusters give you fingertip control for the wiper wash, wiper on and intermittent, high and low. If we're done with the wipers, we just press the off button, or we can make telephone calls here through our radio core if we have our phone on connected to Bluetooth or USB. If we're going to use the intermittent function, however long you take after you press and turn it on to press it again is how long the intermittent will happen. When I'm done with the wipers, I obviously just turn them off. In the center of the console, you can see that I can select my radio, my source here on the screen for Bluetooth, HDMI, any of my menu selections for my radio. I can just do it with my fingertips here. I don't have to go down here and touch it on the radio panel itself. I can mute the volume here for the speakers, or I can turn the volume up or down, or I can go forward or back on my selection of music. The headlight flash is here. If I need to flash my headlights, I can flash my marker lights here. You can see they flash. The cluster on the right is my home screen menu. I can go back and I can look at any selection I make here. I can then scroll with the arrows up or down. And once I scroll to whichever one I want to make an adjustment to, I click on the OK, and I can see if there are any messages. I can scroll up or down in those settings. When I want to move on to the next setting, I can just click on the home button again, and then I can go up or down. Let's say, for instance, I wanted to see what my tire pressure was, which is your TPMS. Then that's going to display here. If I press OK, then I can see what the inside and outside tires are. Pressures on all of my tires. So this is your menu. You can scroll up and down. Once you get into that particular selection, just press the OK, and then you can make your adjustments to that setting. On the left side of the glass dash, you've got your fuel indicator, your engine temp indicator, your oil pressure indicator, your lane mitigation warning, which is used with the mobile eye that's mounted on the windshield. You've got your air pressure indicators for your front and rear of the coach. You want to make sure that your coach is aired up before you drive or before you run your slide rooms in and out. And this is your DEF indicator, which is showing full at the time. This is the time of day on the far right. This is your RPM. This gives you more data on your trip information, distance to empty. This is our miles per hour. We can change the miles per hour setting to kilometers. Here, if we go into our settings on our glass dash. When we make a selection to our gear shift here on the Allison, we're going to be able to see if we're in reverse, neutral, or drive. We're in neutral now. It's showing neutral. Our collision mitigation system will come on and display once we're in gear and in motion. And of course, this is our park indicator here. If our parking brake is set, we're always going to see the P. If it's released, the P won't be showing. We're in park now. One thing that we see on the right side of the cluster here is the effort minus or plus. You can see it moving of the power steering. The comfort steer is what it's called. I can change those settings to easier or more firm for the steering wheel motion, whichever I like. And then the one just below that is for my pedals. If I want to bring my pedals towards me, push the lever towards me. If I want to make the pedals further away, then I push that away from me and the pedals will go further away from my seat. So moving over here to the radio and the cameras, you can see they're on right now. This is how it would look if they were off. You'll just see the splash screen. To turn it on, just press and release. Takes a second for it to come on. So on the left side here are your radio core selections, and you can see those with the menu. On the right side here is your camera. So on the menu, you can see here there's navigation and camera. So if I ever want to just make selections for my camera, I can just hit the camera button here, and you can see I can select any one of these views, front, rear, or any one of the sides. In addition to the one in the rear, there's a further expanded view or closer up view, but the one in the center is the one that you would typically leave it on for driving. So just beside the trailer cam view, you've got your 360-degree cameras on both sides, or all four cameras. If you had your trailer hooked up, then you could have these two selections, which we don't have right now. And then, of course, these are your other two selections. And the bottom one is the 360-degree view all the way around your coach, with all the cameras showing a complete picture of what's surrounding your coach. Going back to the menu, you can select any one of these in the menu: Sirius, Bluetooth, HDMI, auxiliary, our setup Mobileye, which is for our lane mitigation. Our navigation is also here, so if you wanted a shortcut to your navigation, you don't have to go through the menu. You can just hit it here. Whenever you select navigation, you'll have to click on accept. And once you do that, then you'll be able to go in and choose a route, multi-point route. If I choose a new route, I'll be able to enter the address that I want to go to, or a zip code and the street, and then that will display my trip. Bluetooth gives me the option of connecting my phone or iPod or other devices to my radio core. For music, for instance, I can press my phone and then I can pair a device that I'd like to go with the radio for music or for making telephone calls with this button up here. There is obviously the camera control here, but there's also that camera control here. So the shortcut to get to the cameras is always right here. But if you're in the menu and you want to go to the camera control, then you just do it here and you're at the same place. The Mobileye gives you lane change warnings. When you're traveling, you have to be in gear for this to work. The Mobileye is mounted on the front of the coach, and we'll show you that in another section of this video. And of course, you have your setup screen, and this is where you would go to set your any of your settings up: auto connects, auto volumes. Starting at the left on your rocker switches here, at the dash, you've got your house battery boost. So what is that? The battery boost button, you'll see, has house or chassis. So in the event that either the house batteries or the chassis batteries were low and needed a boost, you could press towards the house to boost the house and hold that down for at least a minute to get those batteries boosted so that it would activate things like your inverter and charge your batteries. In the event that your chassis batteries were low, you could press towards the chassis for about a minute, and that would boost the chassis batteries so that you could start your engine. So you can boost from either battery bank towards the other to give it the boost to either start the engine or get the inverter charger working again to charge those house batteries or chassis batteries. Just beside that, you've got your on-off for heavy tow. So for the front heat, there's one that's labeled front fan. There's a fan underneath here near your feet on the floor level that if the ITR Oasis is on and heated up, you can turn this on to either low, off, or high, and you'll have heat coming out of here as long as the setting is turned on for the ITR Oasis in the furnace mode. The overhead fans can be turned on to high, medium, or low just by turning this switch on, low, then medium or high. That will help defrost the windshield area. There's your docking lights here and courtesy lights on and off. You can start your generator manually here just by turning the switch on, holding it. While it primes, you can see it flash. So that starts our generator. To stop it then manually, just press and hold that down towards stop. The entrance lock for the door, the entrance door is here. Lock and unlock. And then our visor and shades for our windshield controls are here. You can hear them going up and down. And then our shade control is here. Now you'll notice that no matter if I'm pressing it up or down, it continues to go up. That's a safety feature we built in so that when the ignition is turned on, the shade would only go up and not down. If I turn the key off, then you'll notice I'll be able to bring the shade down or up. This visor is for the window on the passenger side. So these are your HVAC controls just for the cockpit area. In order for these to turn on initially, you have to set it to at least a number 1 or 2 or any one of the fan settings. Then you can turn your air conditioning on with the snowflake button, recirculation or non-recirculation button with the arrows that rotate here, and then of course your warm and cool selections along with which direction you want that air to be pointed to. This is defrost all the way to the right, and any one of the mix selectors on the other ones. So as you come in the entrance door, for convenience, Newmar has put a lighting switch for all lights on in the living room area right here. So you can just reach over here and turn them on. The switch will also turn them off except for the dome light or the map light. So just to demo that, you can turn them off or back on. So as you enter into the coach, you'll notice there's two switches at this level here. The one that's illuminated red is your battery disconnect, and it's turned on because you can see the red light is illuminated. So as long as this switch is turned on, you'll be able to operate the other lights and functions in the coach. If this is off, you'll need to rock the switch to turn it on, and then the red light will come on. The switch just beside that is your baggage compartment doors, lock and unlock. At the very bottom of the panel, we have a fire extinguisher. The fire extinguisher has a quick handle release. It's a black handle. Just push down, and that releases the fire extinguisher. To put it back, just same way, just put it back and clip. Above that, we have the switches beside the passenger here for the patio lights, white and amber. We have the visor control. The visor is behind the shade. We have the step cover, and that is where I'm standing here. If you want to have the step cover come out so that you can stand here, we'll demo that. All you have to do is get out of the way at the top. You want to make sure you're standing at the top. When you press the step cover switch, that step will come out and it goes up. To retract it, just go in the opposite direction to go down. Just beside that, we have step well lighting. You can notice as I turn that off, the step well lighting goes out. And above us is the map light. This screen is a buddy screen to the main navigation screen that comes on for the driver, so that the passenger can view and scroll through the nav and camera settings here at the bottom. Below that, you've got your phone charger. Both the passenger and driver seat have a massage control as well as the main controls for the seat. If you look here, you can see power on and off, and then there's different zones of the seat that you can turn on. For the vibration settings, you can select pulse, wave, and zigzag. There's also speed settings that you can set those. When you're done, just turn it off, and all of the controls are in the off position now. Below that, you have your forward adjustment, rear, and tilt. The first one here is for your footrest, up and down. And we have our seat back tilt here. And then we have cooling. So we can turn on heat is red, cooling is air circulation under the seat. So if I go up, then I'm going to be heating the seat. If I go down, I'll be cooling the seat. And then that's off when there's no lights displaying. The armrests, both are adjustable. If you want to make that adjustment, there's a small lever here on the center, so that once you pull that up, that sets it there. If you want it a little higher, You can set it at a higher position here, or just all the way out of your way back that way. The driver's seat is the same settings. When the driver is in the seat, he won't be able to use the footrest if the coach is in drive and the parking brake is released. So to rotate the seat around so that you can be facing into the living room area, there's a lever on the right-hand side, and we'll show you that. You'll have to lift it up. And once you lift that up, it unlocks the seat so you can rotate it. Rotate the seat around, and then you're facing the living room area here. There is an additional switch here that's for your lumbar support here on your back. When you're finished viewing in the living room area and ready to drive again, you want to turn your seat back around, just grab a hold of it and rotate it. And you'll hear it lock back into driving position. So just above the driver's steering wheel, we have an overhead cabinet. Inside this cabinet are our controls for starting from the left here for our inverter and charging controls. We have your Winegard television antenna and cable selection receivers. You have your Girard awning controls, and then your rocker switch panel. We'll go through these individually in just a minute. And at the very far end, we have your battery management control. It's called a BMS. It basically connects or disconnects the batteries from the coach if you press that button. But we'll start on the left and work our way towards the right. This is a display which shows your battery and what they're doing. They're in absorption. It shows the AC loads, the AC inputs, and what the charger is doing. So if we want to go more deep into it and see the details of what the chargers are doing, we just press the touch screen here at the top center, then press menu. Once we go into the device list, then it will show inverter 1, inverter 2. It shows the smart solar charger, what it's doing. And then if you want to dive in deeper into each one of those, you can just press the arrow on the side, and then it tells you what it's doing, if it needs to be updated, what the input current is. And then to get back or scroll down into the next page, you can hit that button, hit that arrow, or this back arrow. And to get back to the original screen, just press the Pages button, and that gets you to the first screen. So again, to dive deep into any one of those settings or notifications, just press each one individually, and it will give you an indication of a update or whatever else is needed, and then get back to the home page. Just hit the Pages button. The Winegard is your TV antenna over the air receiver. When it's turned on, you won't be able to watch cable because it's selecting over the air TV. It automatically scans and finds channels. We've only found one channel because we're in a building, so we're not going to get much for channel selection. We would have to be outside. Once we go outside, we would then turn the control on, and it will scan and find numerous channels. You can hit the search button, and instead of turning it on and off, it will find channels, add them, and it will display how many channels it's found. If we want to watch cable on the TV instead of over the air, we just turn this off, and then we can watch cable. Just to the right of that is your awning control for your Girard awnings, which are located on the passenger side at the top of the coach. All of these controls are for lighting, locking the awning, and channel selection. The channels are selecting the awnings. We'll go over the details of that when we go outside with the remote to show you what they are, but basically it's 3 different channel settings, 1 awning, front or rear, and then 0 is for both awnings at the same time. And all that is, if you're doing both awnings, you would go in, out, or stop, and then of course you can turn the lights on or select the number 2 is the rear one. So that's what the numbers are, 0, 1, and 2. At the top over here, you've got your driver's side slide out and your passenger side slide out. There is a little note here that says be sure both the driver and passenger seats are in the forward position before you activate these, because the room, as it moves in and out, if the seat's back too far, it's going to hit that seat. So make sure your driver and passenger seat are forward before you run the slide outs to the extend or out position. So pressing out extends, in retracts on either the driver or passenger slide out. You have exterior LEDs on the slide out trim. You can turn those on or off. The exterior entrance step override is this switch. If you want the steps to stay out, just leave that on, and when the door opens or closes, the steps will just remain in the out position. The Wi-Fi router is right above here. You can see the antennas for it. That's your router that's connected to the antenna on the roof, so you can have Wi-Fi in the coach. Just beside that, you'll notice a receiver for the Starlink. That's your Starlink receiver. And then over to the right is your video switch, so you can record or view video. Selection button is right there. The HWH master reset switch is just beside that. If you had a step that was stuck in a position in or out and you wanted to reset the HWH step, just press that and hold it for 5 seconds to reset your HWH system. There are 2 additional 120 volt plugs here because you could put a satellite receiver up here because they're satellite prep. This has been prepped for satellite. So the conduit and 12 volt wiring would terminate here for the receiver, and the wiring goes up onto the roof, and there's a aluminum plate there that's prepped for your satellite. Moving over to the right here, the BMS, it just basically is your battery power on and off. If we press this button, the LED light will go out, and of course all of our lights would go off. That's basically your house battery system, and it runs through the BMS because it's lithium. It's a lithium battery system.
While you're talking about that, if it goes out on its own, and they have to turn it on.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah. If this is turned on and you're using your coach, let's say in a dry camping situation, and you haven't charged your batteries for a while, ran your generator, or plugged in the coach, the battery level will eventually go down to about the 10% level, and this will automatically shut off to save that last 10% of your battery power. Now you can still come back up here and turn it back on by pressing it, and the blue light will illuminate again. But just remember that if you do that, you're on your last 10% of power in the coach. And you'll want to charge your batteries by starting up your generator or plugging the coach in to get that battery charged back up. So you don't go all the way down to the lower 2% level where that will go out again. So just remember, if that goes out, you are you can look over here and see what state your batteries are in, and it should be about 10%, but then you'd want to make sure and start your generator to get those batteries charged back up. As a safeguard against that, you could turn your AGS on, your automatic generator starter, and that would keep the batteries charged when they get to the lower level. There's optional equipment here. This one has a security system, and that turns the sensors on for your security system. There are driver security lights outside on the walls, exterior walls, passenger and driver. There's a driver privacy drape here. That's the control here on the left, up and down, and then the one on the front is right here, up and down. Your door also has a privacy drape here, and you can run that up and down the same way. And then there's the passenger seat drape up and down here. And that concludes the overhead displays above the driver area. So above the driver's side cockpit area, there are more cabinet area storage here. And on the passenger side here. These two overhead cabinets contain controls. The controls on the left-hand side are for your Girard awnings. The Girard awnings operate on 120 volts. As long as these are plugged in, you'll notice an LED light that comes on. If you unplug that, your LED lights are going to go out. So as long as these are plugged in, your Girard awnings will work. And those are the indicators that they're actually turned on and ready to operate. Either manually, you can open and close your front and rear patio awnings here. Open, in the middle is stop, and the bottom one is closed. If you're going to operate it from inside here, you want to have a spotter outside to make sure the awning doesn't extend onto something that might be outside. We have our door awning controller here, which is a fused power supply, so you can check the fuse here. In the cockpit area, Newmar installs a smoke detector. The smoke detector should be tested. To do that, we press the test button. We hear a series of tones. Those tones tell us that the battery's good and that the smoke detector is active. Now, if we would press that test button and it didn't come on, you didn't hear any tones or beeps, you would want to rotate it counterclockwise, remove it, and take the battery out and replace it. Once you put the new battery in, you'll hear the tone initially, but you should still press to test and hear the series of tones. Once you hear that series of tones, then you know your smoke detector is active, and then turn it clockwise a good half a turn to lock it in place. In the living room area here near the TV lift, we have our Bose speaker at the top for our surround sound. We have additional cabinet space here. The audio-visual cabinet where you would put your DVD player or satellite receiver is here. Satellite connection is in the back along with the 120 volt outlets to plug in your receivers, whether those are the Blu-ray or the satellite. Connections are here with more storage area here. The TV lift is operated across the room on the side panel. To raise it up, just go to the TV lift and hit up. We'll do a quick demo on that. So you can see here the TV lift is going up. Then once the TV lift is up, you can take your remote and turn the TV on. And the TV is pre-programmed here to those channels. And we'll go over the settings on how to scan for those channels. So with our television turned on, we'll use our remote control to go to the home screen, press the home button in the center. That gets to this screen. And then this icon here is our selection for menus. So just toggle over to the left here and go to settings. So you'd have to scroll down to settings, then press the center button here. And now scroll over to all settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to scan for channels. If we scroll down here to broadcasting, then we select that. Press the center button again, and we go through auto program to find the channels. So press auto program, and we want to press the start to auto program. We have to have our over-the-air wine guard turned on, and once that's on, then we're going to scan for air channels. Yes, and it'll go through the scan and it'll show us how many channels it found. "39 channels." So we can either scan again, or we can go to our different settings or just close. You'll have to scan the same way with the wine guard antenna off if you want to watch the cable channels. So if you want to scan for cable, turn the over-the-air antenna off and then scan again for your cable channels if you have part cable available and want to watch cable. Now we should be able to connect with a channel here. Yes. To go back to the home screen and scan for cable, scroll left, back to settings, to the right, all settings, broadcasting, auto program, and this time we're plugged into cable. We've turned our over-the-air wine guard off, and now we can scan for the cable channels. Obviously, since we are not plugged into cable, we won't pick up any, but that's how you would scan for the cable. And you'll have to scan for channels for each TV location, whether it's out here or in the bedroom. So we have our sofa here. This is a fold-out sleeper sofa, and to do that, we just remove the pillows. And there's Velcro on the back, so you just grab a hold and you can remove the back. Now there's a handle on a black pull release handle. Just lift up to unlock, and then this folds out into a bed. And then the back side just flips down. You can see there's additional 120 volt power supply along with USB charger plugs on the back side, and a nightstand. Just reverse operation to fold it back in place. As we move into the kitchen area, we have our stationary island. And as we open the cabinets, we see our storage area here with the pull-out drawers. You'll notice the stickers on the side here give you the detailed information about your coach and coach color. Also some warning information, notices. So with every coach, with every Newmar coach, you get a black case with all of your owner's operators manuals, product registrations, information on everything from plumbing, heating, exterior electrical, and all of your appliance information is in this case. So be sure and go through this case. Find your owner's operators manuals and guides, not only for the appliances in your coach, but also for the chassis itself. And go through that information and make sure to register all your warranties. There is an extra router. The Starlink router is in this box. Since it has the Wi-Fi Ranger router that's being used, this is just a spare. As we move over to the microwave, there is a microwave plug that you can reach right at the top there. If you need to unplug the microwave or remove it, you'd want to unplug it there first before you remove it. More storage space here in the kitchen. And above the sink. Here at the sink, we have the sink covers. These can be removed and stored down below here. The storage area for the covers are on the side here. They just slip in like that to store. There is a trash receptacle here, a slide out drawer here. Pull down drawer there, and of course your hot and cold, and a telescoping sprayer. There's a touch panel control here. This mirrors in a smaller version, the same as the 10-inch one in the hallway, so that you can turn on lighting, kitchen overhead fan, whether they're in the living room, bathroom, or kitchen, you can control all that here. You can also go to your home screen and view your tanks, turn on your water pump, and most every function that you can see on the 10-inch panel is right here on the small 5-inch. There are covers with cutting board on the back side here above the the Bosch cooktop. The cooktop is a touch cooktop. So to turn this Bosch on, you'll notice here there's numbers going across for settings, but the one on the far left is the on-off. So once you turn that on, you'll be able to turn the main burner on or one of the side ones here. These require the magnetic type cook pans, so once that cook pan is in place, you'll be able to set the number for the amount of heat. If you don't set a pan on and turn it on, you can see here it will just go to sleep. So after you're done using the cooktop, let it cool down and then put your covers back in place. Just below the range, you've got your drawer with all of your television and remote controls for your airbed, for your air conditioning filter removal, for your Girard awning controls, and you have an extra key fob here for your coach. There is additional electrical plugs and filter wrench and spare dishwasher parts. And below that, we have our dishwasher. You'll notice the door is locked. So to unlock it, just tap the door 3 times. You can hear the lock disengage. Now you can open the door. Do your dishes when they're finished and you're ready to travel again. You want to close the door to lock it. You'll have to come here. You'll see the little lock symbol. Just press that button. You'll see that turns red. Once it turns solid red, like, well, let's hold it down until that turns solid red. Then you can release it and you'll be able to close the door and it will lock. Just to the left of that, we have extra drawer space, 3 drawers here. And more cabinet space with pull-out drawers here. The fantastic vent, which will ventilate the kitchen area, has a removable louver. The fan can actually be opened and closed manually. If you would need to do that, you can just turn the black lever counterclockwise, and that opens the lid to the fan, and the fan comes on. If you close it manually, it'll go out, the fan will shut off. If for any reason the fan won't operate at all, there's a small fuse that you can check. If that fuse is blown, just replace it. And then put the fuse back in place and turn clockwise to lock it back in place. When you're finished, just line these tabs up with the lock on both sides. Line those up and you can feel it's ready to insert. Just push and that locks it back into place. The overhead fan here in the kitchen has the control for the fan here. To go to the vent fans, just go to the home screen and press vent fans, and then you'll see 3 columns: kitchen, half bath, and bathroom. Just go to the kitchen, hit power. It's on high. You can select medium or low. And you can hear it's opening and it'll turn on. There is a rain override switch. So if there was any moisture on the rain sensor, you can override that and the fan will come on even if there's mist or water moisture on that rain sensor. Turning the rain override off, you can go to different speed settings. When you're done using the fan, just press the power button and that turns it off and it'll automatically close. So as we showed you earlier, there's a special tool in the kitchen top drawer, and it's designed to slip into these louvers at this end, about the fifth one back or so, and then as you pull down, the magnets on this side will release and this will fold down so you can get into the filters. These filters filter the air for the air conditioning and the heat pump for the rooftop air conditioners. So to clean that filter, you'll need to reach up, grab a hold of the louvers, and pull down. And the whole louver comes out with the filter attached. Just take the filter off, sweep the filter off, wash it in warm soapy water, rinse it and air dry it, then put it back in the center, and then push the tab. Once it's lined up in the center, just push it until it clicks and that's locked back in place. And you should do that as often as you need to keep them clean, especially if you live in the coach full time, because you want the air that's going in to be filtered. And that, like I said, it might be as often as once a week. The other openings here at the top are for the discharge air. As the discharge air comes out, it comes down through here, but the return air goes back up and it goes into these louvers. There is a channel like this in the back, and it releases the same way. So you'll have to clean the filters in both locations. When you're finished, just push up and the magnets will line up and that will lock them back into place. So we're at the theater seating here, and we're going to demonstrate how the theater seating works. When you sit down, you'll have 3 separate controls on your cup holder, along with a USB charger. So the one on the left extends the footrest and tilts the chair back. And the one in the center retracts. So when I'm finished, I can retract the seat. The one on the right-hand side illuminates on and off. And of course, the USB charger's here. There is a lift storage compartment with a sliding drawer. And there's a lot of storage area down at the base. To my left is the panel that controls. If I go to the home screen, you can see you can control your lighting, your vent fans, shades, TV lift, your climate, HVAC, floor heat, and of course your power, just by going to that home screen. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to open these shades. I would go to the shade switch, press shade, and then select living room, kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, or half bath. In this case, I'm in the living room. I can select all, and they'll all go up at the same time. Press it again, they stop. Press it again, they go down. So just make the selection that you want. Let's say for lighting, I'm in the living room. I can turn them all on or turn them all off. above the theater seating, we have more storage in these 3 cabinets. And then moving into the dinette area, we have additional storage above, similar to the living room area. This table will pull out to extend, and there's an extra table leaf in the back. We'll show you how those slip in. So after you pull the table all the way out and you're going to add your extra leaves, you want to release, there's a additional strut that comes down that holds the weight of the end of this table. So once you lower that down, that's going to be on the floor to hold that weight. Then we'll take our leaf. We can either add 1 or 2. And then we just lift here and lock that in place. Then we can add our additional seating. There's actually 2 seats and 2 leaves if you want to have it all the way fully extended for 2 extra people. When you're finished, we just do the reverse of that. And remove the leaf. Pull the table all the way out so we can put the leg back up. It's magnetic, so it stays, and then just push the table closed. Underneath each of the dinette seats is extra storage. The extra storage lever is here at the bottom. Just pull out, and there's a drawer on each side. At the back bottom of the table are 2 cabinet doors. If we open those doors, we can see there's an access panel to additional controls. Inside the coach, here in the kitchen area and in the back, are the motion detectors for your security system. So as we move over to the refrigerator, we have our triple door Bosch stainless steel. It has a lock for all 3 doors. So when you're traveling in the coach, you want to have that lock slid to the left so these doors don't open as you drive and turn corners. So right now, all the doors are locked. When you come to your destination and you want to open the refrigerator, just push to the right, and then that'll unlock the doors. You can open them up. So if we open our doors, you can see we have our power indicator. It's not turned on, just press 1 touch, and then that will come on. And then we can select our settings. Of course, our temperature in the freezer is too low. It's just telling us that our temperature is too low for the freezer. When we're done using the refrigerator, press and hold the power button after you press the alarm off, and the power goes out. You can see your ice maker here on the left side. This is the ice maker discharge. This can be removed for service. Just to the left of that, we have our pantry. We have a double door pantry with shelves on the left and drawers on the right. Drawers on the bottom left. These are adjustable. You can move them left or right. On the right-hand door, there's a locking mechanism here. So when you close the door and release the parking brake, you can hear this lever move to lock the drawers. On the left pantry side, these are push to open drawers. So you just push and then pull open. And then there's a magnetic close with a magnetic switch to turn the light out. In the hallway, just before the half bath, you'll notice our 10-inch touch panel screen that illuminates when we touch it. This controls the climate, shades, fans, floor heat, our power settings, and our exterior and lights in our coach. So you can just touch any one of those categories and it will take you to that control. If we go to the home, starting on the left, it gives us shortcuts. So for instance, if we look at our lights here, we'll notice lights down here. Well, the shortcut is you can turn the ceiling lights on here, all on or all off. But if you go to the lighting down below, it gives you each room. So living room, kitchen, bedroom, half bath, and bathroom. So you can do them individually, or if you're at the home page, you can just do all lights on, all lights off here. So that's a bit of a shortcut. The same thing, you have a shortcut for your shades. You have a shortcut for your climate. So if you were wanting to adjust all of the coach to the same temperature, you would make that adjustment here. But if you want to go individually to each room, then you would go to climate here, and you could adjust, let's say, the bedroom by itself. So you could turn mode on and then temperature up and down here. So you can do it individually in each room, or if you're at the home screen, you can do all of the climates up and down here. You can see your tanks here at the home screen. You can see your batteries at the home screen. State of charge is 100% on the house because it's a lithium battery pack. Lithium batteries go by state of charge rather than a voltage. You can see there's a voltage here on your chassis batteries because they are not lithium. They're glass mat batteries, so they're at 14.2 volts. So again, they're two separate batteries, battery banks. They can be bridged together, as we saw earlier in the video, if you need battery boost either way. If we had any fluid in our tanks, that would be showing here. And as the more fluid you get in the tank, the level will go up on those. As we saw in the kitchen, if we go to the fan settings, we can turn the ventilator fans on in any one of those locations just by turning the power on, and then we can adjust the speed here. Turn it off, just press the power again, and that turns it off. You'll notice a Bluetooth over here. This panel can be connected to your smart device, your phone or your laptop, with Bluetooth. There's an app that you'll have to get for your smart device, your phone. Once you get the app, then you'll be able to use the Bluetooth to view and control on your smart device, just like you see here. If you want to connect via Bluetooth, you can press the Bluetooth and it gives you the instructions here on how to download the Newmar app, enabling the Bluetooth on your smartphone or smart device, how to open it up and select switch coach connection on pairing, and then select your coach when that's done, and then you can press to pair here at the bottom. So that shows that it's pairing with your device. When you're finished with pairing, you should be able to view the same screen that you see here on your phone or laptop. There is a lighting icon which dims or brightens the whole screen right there. Our climate screen shows the climate in each of the rooms that we can adjust the temperatures up and down here. And we can turn modes on for cool, auto, HP is heat pump, and furnace is our ITR Oasis hydronic furnace. And we can also turn the fan on low, medium, or high in that zone. You can hear I just turned the fan on in the living room, and that came on. To turn it off, just do the opposite. Turn fan off, and that goes off. So you can do that in any one of the rooms. In our climate, we also have, as well as the heat pump and air conditioning selections here, we have our ITR Oasis. The ITR Oasis has a burner. We can turn the burner on. It also has electric elements 1 and 2. We can turn one element on or both. Element 1 and 2 are now on, the burner's on, and that will heat up your water, and it will heat up the fluid in the coach that gives you heat inside your coach. So once that is heated up enough, then your furnace will come on and your heat in the coach can be adjusted to the setting you like for furnace. There's your furnace mode. So once your Oasis is turned on, you'll turn on furnace mode here, and then you can adjust your temperature for heat. The Oasis burner has to be turned on if you're camping in a cold climate where you want to have heat in the water bay compartment so it doesn't freeze. So just remember that. Leave the Oasis burner turned on if you're going to be camping in freezing weather and you want to have protection against any freezing in the lower compartment water bay. Once the burner turns off, the active light will go out here. Anything that's turned on will show the status on the right-hand column here. If we go to shades, we can see we can adjust the shades in any room. Gives you day and night shade selection for any room. The fans, of course, those are the fans in the kitchen and in the bathrooms, half bath and full bath. The fantastic fans is what they are. The floor heat is the same selection, front, middle, or rear. To turn the floor heat on, you would just press the power in that zone and then select low, medium, or high. It doesn't actually select a temperature, it gives you a range. So medium is selecting a range of temperature, and then the floor will heat in kind of a medium temperature selection. It doesn't actually give you a selection that you can turn on to a certain temperature. For the power settings, you have leg 1 and leg 2 for your shore cord, and you have your inverters here. When the inverters are on, they're highlighted. When the chargers are on, they're also highlighted. The inverter charger, it's a combination of both. You have inverter 1, charger 1, inverter 2, charger 2. The batteries, again, they show the voltage, the chassis battery voltage, and the house battery state of charge. If I want to turn the generator on, I would select generator and then press power. After you press and hold the start button for several seconds, you'll hear the generator come on. To turn the generator off, we just press the stop button. There is an AGS setting here for automatic generator starting. There's also selection for quiet. quiet time, if you're in a campground and you are not allowed to operate at certain times, then you would select that. There's a solar selection here that shows your state of charge, battery temp, voltage charge, accumulated hours. Our systems check shows all of our legs and what's being used for power, what our voltage is, and our amperage available. Now, if we look at the exterior selection, we can see we have awnings, lights, and door locks. So I can go into the awnings and select those to open or close. I can also select the exterior lights on and off, or the door locks on or off. Our last selection is the lighting. Lighting for living room is here, kitchen is here, bedroom, half bath, and bathroom. In the center here, there's a selection for a dimmer. So once I select on or off, we can dim those same lights just by moving that bar. In any room, you can select the lights to be on, and once you turn those lights on, you can dim it just by dragging it or touching it to a lower level or higher level. Here in front of the half bath, we have our inner vac, where we connect our hose and our floor sweep control. In the baggage compartment, you have your intervac accessory kit. And this is the control handle here. The way it works is, as soon as this is plugged in, you'll have to remove the sticker here and then plug this in. Now we can turn on the inner vac with this button right here. On and off. There is a battery in here. If you need help on what type of battery, how to change it, there's a QR code. You can look that up. But the hose and other accessories are all in this kit for floor sweeping or any other type of cleaning you like to do with your inner vac system. When you're done with it, just lift up, pull out, and close. As we go into the half bath, press the handle here, lift, that unlocks it, and it folds to the right. As we step in the bathroom, you can see we have a medicine cabinet here. And you can see there's a touch panel control, just like we have on the outside in the bathroom here for our lighting or any of the other controls in the coach. More storage here. In the back here, there's a 120 volt outlet that's GFCI protected and resettable. Our main breaker box is here, and the breakers for each of the inverters, number 1 inverter and number 2 inverter, are here. So if you have a breaker that trips, you can just reset those breakers. If they're tripped, they'll be about halfway to the outside, whether it's the outside this way or that way, that's a tripped breaker. So to reset that breaker, you'll have to go all the way to the outside and then back to the center to turn it on or reset it. So if it's towards the outside, even just halfway, go all the way to the left, back to the right. That turns those breakers back on. Each one is labeled: cooktop, washer, water heater, air conditioners. They're all labeled. So if one isn't working, come in, check the panel. If it needs to be reset, like I said, it'll be about halfway. You'll have to go all the way off and then back on to reset that breaker. The same goes for the breakers here on either of the inverters. The inverters supply these appliances, which are your microwave, your refrigerator, your front air conditioner, and your slide outs with power, even if you're not plugged into the shore cord, because shore cord power comes in through here, but the inverters get their power from batteries. So when we're using the refrigerator and we're not plugged into shore power, we're using the batteries. The inverters are inverting the power from battery power to 120 volt power. So you can see here there's a breaker on this front air conditioner that's tripped. So to reset that, I go all the way down and then back up. Now that's reset and I can use that air conditioner. Below that, we have the GFCIs for the floor heat. Each one is green right now, meaning that it's operational. If the LED light on the opposite side was red, which it would be if it was tripped, then I would press this button to reset on either one. This is your Wi-Fi receiver to pair with the home screen if you have the Newmar app. There are extra fuses. If any one of these fuses are blown for your security lights, your passenger slide, your HVAC controls, satellite, any of these fuses, they're all labeled F1, 2, 3, 4, right down the center. If you, let's say, your security lights won't come on, that's F7. Come in here, check F7, pull F7 out. If that is blown, there'll be an opening in the middle, and that's a bad fuse. So it's an F7. There's extra fuses here on the side. Grab an F7 and then replace it. There are a couple fuses at the bottom here that automatically reset. So if the little tab in the center is sticking out, just push that back in. That resets that tab like your power stool. These are all automatically will reset when you press in instead of having to change the fuse. These are resettable type fuses on the bottom. These small tan boxes are just your controls for your generator and shades and such, and they're stacked in a line of 3 here. The toilet is a Dometic. The Dometic toilet is a touch to flush. So if we want to flush the toilet, we just press the flush button. Whoops. We press the flush button, which is the one on the bottom, to flush. If we need to add water to the bowl, we want the water level to be higher, we just press the add water here, and that will add more water to the bowl. If the black tank or your sewage tank is full, you're going to get a red light here and you won't be able to flush. If this light is amber or yellow, orangish yellow, that means you're almost full, so you have a few flushes left. So once you see the amber light, be ready to get to a dumping station. Once it turns red, you won't be able to flush. There's additional storage here, drawers and cabinet, and more storage down here. As we move into the bedroom, there's a sliding door here. For privacy, we just push the handle down and to the left to close, and that locks the door in place. So the door is locked now. To unlock it, the arrow, just push down to unlock, just push down, and that opens the door, unlocks. And then once both doors get all the way to the travel position, you can hear they lock back into position. There's a small cup here. That's the room temperature sensor for the back bedroom. The nightstand has a charger here for your phone. The nightstand has a small door, and in behind the door is a 120 volt and USB charger. So you got your 120 volt plug and your charger there. We have storage space up here. There's another 120 volt outlet there. That outlet would be able to power up a CPAP machine, and you can drop that CPAP machine line down right through this access port. If you need to do that on either side, there's one on both sides. More storage here in the middle, and again, that's your 120 volt outlet if you need it. There's a small panel, control panel here, like you see in the hallway. It controls all of your functions just like your main panel. If you're laying in bed here, you can just look up at that, turn things on and off right from your bed. The nightstand on this side is the exact same with the USB charger and 120 volt outlet, along with the phone charger right here on top of the nightstand, as well as the access port to drop a line down through and back up into the cabinet if you needed it. Our ceiling panel in the overhead is the same as the kitchen. Use the special tool to reach and pull that down to get to the filters to clean. The CO2 detector here on the ceiling can be tested just by pressing the center and holding it for a second. You'll hear a series of beeps that tells you that the battery's good and it's functional. If you don't hear the beep tones, you should check the battery. So how do you do that? So if you need to check the battery because you don't hear the beep tones, grab a hold of it, squeeze it until you can feel it's releasing, and it comes down. Then you can just get to your battery right here. Take your battery out, unplug it. It unplugs just by pushing it in. Replace the battery, put that back. You hear the tone, you know you're ready to go. There's a touch panel here. The touch panel is the same as the one in the kitchen, the living room, and here in the bedroom. It's just a smaller version of the 10-inch one with all the same functions, just on a smaller screen. The slide out control is here, in, out. Before you extend the slide out, you want to make sure there's nothing in the way on the outside. Beside that is your audio visual cabinet for your television here. You've got your roof mount connections for satellite. If you have a satellite on the roof, it's there. Below that, you have additional drawer space here. And underneath the TV area, you've got your shades. If we move those shades up, go to the shade switch, and I'm in the bedroom, so I would do dresser, so once we get those shades up, we can see there's another exit window here. This exit window is an emergency exit window. The directions for the emergency exit are here. Just pulling the handle, slide the window open. You want to push the screen handle to release the screen, and then escape out through this window. So basically, we just slide that over, and then once you get the window open, you would push the screen and exit out the window. Just to the left of the TV, we have more storage space here and our security motion detector here, more drawer space below. Just to the left of that is a floor convector, return air, and discharge beside that with a full-length mirror. As we move into the bathroom, we have a pocket door. The pocket door slides into this pocket on the right-hand side. It operates the same as the one coming into the bedroom. Just push down to release. Then once the door comes over in place, it locks. To unlock it, just push down and open, and it locks in the open position or travel position. So as we move into the bathroom, we have our washer and dryer here. Our washer and dryer combination with the dryer on top. Our settings for temperature and time. The washing machine has a special notice here to remove the outside drain cap before operating the washer. So a lot of water goes through here and will go into the gray tank, and it could fill the gray tank before you know it. So that's why if you open the gate valve on the tank so that it can go out the drain, then the gray tank won't fill up and fill to the point where you start having water come in your other drains in your house. So just keep that in mind when you're doing the laundry. On the side of the washer and dryer, there's an access panel so that you can get to the hot and cold handles for the washing machine. So if you need to turn the water off to the washer, just turn clockwise and that turns those off. So those are off now. This is the vent for that drain. The plug for the washer and dryer are here, and they're labeled. So the top one is the dryer, the bottom one is the washer. To the left is open, so I'm opening the cold water now for the washer. The hot's open. The flush control is the same as the half bath. To flush the toilet, I press the bottom button here. To add water, I press the top one. The green light at the top just means it's powered up. When it's powered up, you'll see these are both blue. Like we said before, the tank level indicator, there's no light there now because the tank is empty. But once it gets to about 70%, that's going to turn amber to warn you you're close to being full on the black tank. Once it's red, it's full and you won't be able to flush. Moving over here to the back side of the Dometic toilet, we have the exit door. This is your emergency exit. So in the event that there's an emergency and you can't exit out the front of the coach, you would unlock this door here. That's locked, so you would unlock to the right and unlock here. And you would unlock here so that this is to the left and that's to the right. Now the door will open so that you can exit out. Now, that's too far to jump, but Newmar adds a ladder that extends by itself just by taking the Velcro off the ladder and tipping the ladder down. The ladder will open and extend. So now I can just step over the toilet and exit out of the coach if there was an emergency. And to store the ladder back in place, we just lift and put our Velcro back. And our cover. So once we've closed our emergency exit door, we can just lock the deadbolt and the door handle. So now we're locked, so it won't inadvertently open or no one can enter from the outside. The window is stationary. There are the day and night shades that come down. Just have to use the control because they're power. In the closet area, you'll notice on the back wall is your safe. The safe has a key that you can use manually, but in your instructions to use the safe, you would enter your own secret code to lock the safe when you store something in it. You'll notice the louver vent below. That's for your heating from your ITR Oasis. This panel controls all the functions throughout the coach, just like the other panels. One note is that the shades in the bathroom are only able to be closed with that particular controller that's in the full bath. You cannot operate the full bath shades at any other control in the coach except here in the full bath. There's a medicine cabinet on both sides, left and right. You've got your water, hot and cold. More storage down below. And I'm standing on an engine cover. So when the engine in this coach needs to be serviced, this panel would be removed by taking the black plugs out, and then there's a screw underneath that you would take the screw out, and then this panel just lifts up and out of the way. More storage space on the left. And we have a closet here with shelves. If we need to access in behind, we have a lift panel here. We can access all the plumbing areas that are downstairs that come from the bathroom, hot and cold water lines and drain. And we have more drawer space here. Moving over into the shower, we have the aquamizer. The aquamizer, again, controls the water as it comes in. It will tell you if it's getting hot, then you could turn the diverter to shower, and this will have to be turned on first. So let's show you how to do that. We turn our aquamizer on with the panel here. We are in the bathroom. So to get to the aquamizer screen, we'd have to go to the lighting screen. So press lights, and here at the bottom right hand side you'll see aquamizer. So if you press the aquamizer, you'll see a blue light come on the aquamizer. At that point, you would turn the diverter on to the right, which diverts water from the fresh tank through the aquamizer. And once the water gets hot, this will turn red. When that's red, you know your water's hot. Then you can turn it back over here to shower, and then you can take your shower either through the overhead or the handle. Just remember that you want to make sure to leave this in the shower position, not in the diverter position, because if you leave it in the diverter position, the water that's coming in on the city supply, or if we turn our water pump on, that's going to fill the fresh tank and it may overflow. We have our shampoo, body wash, and conditioner dispensers here. We have a fold-up seat. And when we're done in the shower, we want to make sure to close and lock it. This is the lock for travel. And turn off the aquamizer when we're finished by coming back over here to our lighting. And when we press the aquamizer icon, you'll notice the blue LED goes out and the light goes out on the aquamizer button. Okay, so I'm standing on the outside of the coach on the driver's side. In this first compartment, if we open that door, we're going to have access to the generator slide control. It's labeled HWH, and you press the extend, and that will open the generator slide up. And we'll take a quick tour on the inside of the generator slide. So just taking a quick look at your light for your headlight and turn signals. You have easy access to all of your bulbs. Just turn and remove. These are your air horns. Moving over to the front here, you've got your ECM, your wiper washer fluid. This is the filter for your ITR Oasis hydronic furnace. That needs to be changed yearly. You've got your street horns here, an auxiliary air supply. This is a hot water spigot. The hot water spigot can be turned on and off here. That comes directly from the ITR Oasis supply. As long as the burner's on, you'll have hot water. This line to be winterized can be opened here, and that line will drain out the bottom there for winterizing. There is a valve that turns this off in the basement area. We'll show you that a little bit later. Your generator has an access panel here. With these two tabs, you can open this up and access the inside filters. From the outside, you can see there's a breaker here that turns on and off. As long as the breaker is turned on, there will be power inside the coach when the generator's running. If for any reason that breaker's off, even though the generator's running, you won't have power inside. So just make sure that that's up. If it's tripped, you have to go all the way down and then back up to reset it. To start the generator, you have the start switch here. Just press and hold that. That primes it, preheats it, starts, and then stop. Just beside that, you have the hour meter that tells you how many hours you have on the generator. That would come in handy when it comes time to service. As you work your way over, you'll notice there's a grill here for your HVAC, heating and cooling, and we'll go around to the other side to look at that. So this is the air conditioning and heating controls. There's a tag up here with the amount of refrigerant that it holds. That's labeled right on the front. As you look over to the left side here at the bottom, there's a reservoir tank for your hydraulic leveling and for your slide out rooms operation. The level can be checked here in the tank by unscrewing the reservoir fill cap and then checking the fluid on the dipstick. When the system is powered up, you'll notice red LED lights on the myom here. If you don't see any red lights here, obviously there's no power, and then you would check the fuses. If you're having any issues with power, check your fuses here and replace if needed. To check the actual fluid level in the reservoir, the jacks have to be up, but the slide out rooms have to be extended. That's when the true level of that reservoir should be checked. To close this slide, or to close this generator slide, it's just the same way as we opened it. The switch just rocks the opposite way. In the event that one of the jacks might not retract, if they won't retract, or if the step won't retract, you can take the solenoid and manually turn it so that it's at a 90 degree with the cylinder, and then you can push the jack up manually or the step in manually. That's in case of a failure of the pump or power supply. So just remember that if you need to operate any of these jacks, cylinders on the back side, they're all labeled. This one's got a label on it, RR, meaning right rear. So if my right rear jack was not operating, wouldn't come up, it was extended down, I could come here and flip that little paddle, the same as this, just flip it like that, and then go back, and that right rear jack should be coming up. As we're standing in front of the coach here, you can see the marker lights are turned on. There is a front camera there at the top. You'll notice here in the windshield is our mobile eye. It's a lane warning system. Down at the base here, behind this cover, is a sensor for your cruise, adaptive cruise, and collision mitigation. We'll give a quick demonstration of the turn signals and the lights. Okay, so he's got the left turn signal on. We'll go right turn signal, bright and dim. That's the emergency flash. Lights out. And bright lights. There's our bright. And our fog lights. And all off. The mirrors can be adjusted either here at the top. There are set screws, there's 3 of them. Here at the top, you can rotate it left, right, or forward and back. You can tilt it. If that's not enough adjustment, you can actually rotate the arm left or right by removing the cap on the bottom and inserting a socket on the bolt end, and you can turn that and then adjust the mirror and then retighten and put our cap back on. You'll notice here is the blind spot detection. If there's any traffic on this side or the other, these detect that traffic, and they light up the amber light at the base of either mirror. So if you see that amber light in your mirror, that means that this has detected traffic in this lane on this side. So we're going to take a quick look at the awnings on this side of the coach. There's 3 awnings. There's a door awning, which is controlled either by your phone that's paired to the controls in the coach, or the screen, the touch panel screens, or the 2 large Girard awnings can be controlled by this remote. So if we're going to control the Girard awnings, we just go to channel. Channel 0 is both. We can press out, and both will go out. We can press the stop, and they'll stop at any time. We can continue to go out, or we can go back in. And they go in automatically and stop when they're closed. In addition to that, there are LED lights. If you press the LED light switch, that light will come on. Press it again, and they go out. So if I want to choose just one awning to come out, like say channel 1, I would press out. If we bring this awning all the way out and it was fully extended and there was a wind that came up, if the awning starts to move up and down or whichever way back and forth enough, there's a sensor, it's called a shake sensor, that will make the awning close. We'll demonstrate that so you can see it. So just to give you a demonstration on how the awning would close if it got too windy, I've got a small dust broom washer, and I'm just going to move the awning a little bit. As long as you're plugged into shore power or your inverter's turned on, this function will work. So if we just shake the awning a little bit, the sensor will automatically close it. And one thing you want to remember is it will close on a windy day, but if there's a lot of rain that's coming down, or if you know it's going to rain, you don't want to leave your awnings open. If there's a downpour, it's too much weight on the fabric and you have a chance of collapsing the awning. So if you know it's going to storm or rain, even a light rain shower, you want to go ahead and just put your awning in. There are additional slide topper awnings on each of the slide outs, as well as a window awning here. The slide topper awnings just open by themselves because they're attached to the sidewall and to the room. So when it extends, the awning opens and the fabric covers the top of the room so that you don't get any water on top of your slide out. The one above the window here, that's operated by the panel or your smartphone. Going back to the front here at the door, you have the steps. Obviously, when the door opens, the steps come out. They are hydraulic steps. So in the event that those steps might stop or not open, you would go back to the HWH override switch and press and hold that for 5 seconds to reset that. If you want the steps to stay out, even though the door is closing and opening, we just hit the step override. So if we hit the step override switch, now the steps will stay out even though the door closes. So you can lock and unlock the door with the key fob. So if you can watch here, you'll notice the locking and unlocking. That's for the handle. But if you want to lock and unlock the deadbolt, that's a manual one. So you'll have to do that from the inside or with the key from the outside. So I can lock and unlock the deadbolt from the outside. I can unlock the door handle with the smaller key. Or from the inside with the red handle. You can leave the door open and close the screen door if you like. Just press the release here and close. From the inside, you can press the inside handle. That'll press this down, and then that will open the door this way. You'll notice that the door latches into this mechanism. When it does that, there's two positions that it can close into. It's a first and second latch. The first latch is just a soft close latch. So you don't have to really push it closed, but you wouldn't want to travel that way. If someone was inside and you didn't want to wake them up, you can just close the door soft and it's latched. But if you're going to travel, then you want to close it into the second latch. That's a little more firm of a close. So now you can see it's flush, and that's for travel. So you've got two different ways of closing that door in the first or the second latch. If you don't have your key fob to lock and unlock either the auto lock or use the keys, you can use the handle. So you can do it manually, you can use the key fob, or you can use the door handle to lock and unlock. There is a doorbell here. If you press that, the doorbell rings inside. When you get your coach new, to open the door, if it's locked, let's say we locked it when we left, but you left your key fob somewhere, you need to unlock the door. The code when you get the coach new is 123441. And that unlocks the door handle, not the deadbolt. So now it's unlocked. To lock the handle again, we just press the number 1. And it locks. If we have locked both the baggage doors and the door handle, we want to unlock both. It's the same code, but instead of 123441, we press 123442. So to unlock all the doors, 123442. You can hear the baggage doors unlock at the same time that the door handle unlocks. Newmar recommends that you set your own code. You can do that by going into the steering column area on the left-hand side. There's a small button on the side of the column that you press. That puts this handle into a learning activation, and then you would set your own 5-digit number that you would keep and only give out to people that you want to have to unlock or enter your coach. At the passenger window, above it there, you have your patio porch light. Below that, you have a small window that opens for access. Here at the front, at the tire area, there is a series of small lanyards that you can pull to release the pressure out of the air tanks. You've got access here to your fuel. This fuel goes into the same tank regardless of whether you're filling it up on this side or the driver's side. They both go into the same tank. We have our marker light, docking light. These are soft closed doors. So once the door is open and you're ready to close it, you don't want to slam the door. You just want to close it softly, and then it'll pull itself in to lock. If you do use the key fob to lock it, the LED lights will go out. When you unlock it, you'll notice the LED light is back on. You can press it. Now, if you come to the coach and did not use the key fob to lock it, or the battery disconnect is off, you won't be able to use the key fob to unlock it. You'll have to have the battery disconnect turned on for this function to work. In our first compartment going back, we have the Dometic freezer. It's a freezer refrigerator style. The model and serial number are listed here. Also, a brief instruction area there. On the side here, we have our main controls. This is Bluetooth compatible, so if you go into the owner's operator's manual, you'll be able to Bluetooth this to your phone and operate it and see the settings that you've got on your phone. There are two plugs that need to be plugged in, a 12-volt plug and a 120-volt plug, for this to operate on both functions. So if you lose one power source, the refrigerator freezer will switch over to the other one automatically. Plugged in and turned on, you'll be able to set your temperature here, and you can scroll through and change your settings to centigrade or zone control. You can go in and set this zone to a certain temperature versus this zone. Just refer to your owner's manual for more information on those settings. Then when you're ready to turn it off, just press and hold the button on the left to turn it off. Our second compartment door back is a Easy Glide slide tray. And again, it's soft close, so just close it without slamming and it'll pull itself shut. Another Easy Glide tray operated here. So Newmar includes extra tile that is from the same set of tile or the same lot number that we put in your coach. So in case you need an extra one, we've got that in the same color. You'll notice here we include the screw type devices used to close the slide out for the full wall slide on the HWH. So these would be used in an emergency if you needed to retract the full wall slide. So we have instructions on our website at Noogle where you can learn how these are used. That's what they're for. So keep them in your coach in case of an issue where you need to close the full wall slide and you don't have power. And this is for our vacuum system that we showed earlier in the coach. If you look at the top shelf area inside here, you'll notice on the back wall is your sink cylinder for your HWH full wall slide. If you would ever need to operate the slide manually, those small paddle levers at the top can be rotated or turned at a 90 degree, and then the process of using these screws to manually retract the slide can be done. These are your kitchen, living room, dresser, shade controls, dresser, living room, kitchen, dry contacts for your shades. This, of course, is your soft close mechanism. In this compartment, you've got your vacuum. On the right-hand side here, you've got your camera controls for your left, right, rear, front, right cameras. You've got your kitchen slide-out control, and inside of this large box is all of your lighting controls. They can be accessed by pulling this lever, pulling this out and then taking the tabs loose to get into that panel. So this is your entertainment center. Your entertainment center television can be pulled out and rotated left or right. As a Bose speaker, there's a 120 volt plug here with USB and USB-C. When you're done with the entertainment center, just push it back. There's a magnet that holds it in place. We have our docking lights, marker lights, lane warning sensors. We have our jacks in between our axles. The jack pads should be checked to make sure that they're in good condition. You'll notice another camera here. This is our side view camera for our 360-degree view. That's our bathroom window in the half bath. Another security light there. Slide topper awning above the bedroom. Slide out. And access to the DEF fill. In the event that one of the air bags didn't fill up, you can go in here and take the small fill cap off, and you can add air to manually air up the coach if needed. In our rear compartment, we have the 2 chassis batteries. The 2 chassis batteries need to be turned on to connect with everything in the coach. If this is off, we're not going to be able to start our engine or turn anything on in the dash. So this needs to be turned on, and this needs to be turned on in order to use the energy that's stored in these 2 chassis batteries. There is a block of fuses in here. To access them and change a fuse, on the chassis side, we rotate to the left, and this cover comes off of what all the devices are. We can rotate that. We can see here if we have something that's not working, our on-guard ignition, passive steering. We can see the number. We can locate the number, pull that fuse, and these are spare fuses that are supplied. There is a tool inside that you can use to pull those fuses out. When you're done, just put this back so you can use it again. Here we have our additional fuel and air dryer and fuel. The fuel filter does have a drain. If you see any moisture here, you could just turn this and that'll drain that moisture out, any water droplets. This compartment is not sealed because batteries have to be in an unsealed compartment. So here at the back of the coach, our marker lights are at the top. Our camera is here in the midsection, just below the 3rd brake light. Rear lights, brake lights, marker lights. To access the engine, just pull this handle down. As we come in here, we've got our final charge coolant indicator. We want to make sure that we can see the full cold is in the glass. We have an additional auxiliary air here. That auxiliary air comes from the air that's being built up in the air system of your coach. So your coach has to be running in order for that air to build up so you can have air supply here. You have your engine oil fill, engine oil dipstick, hydraulic oil. So you can check your dipstick level here for your hydraulic oil. There is an interior light here. This is your plug for your engine preheat. This has to be turned on the inside panel, as well as it has to be plugged in for your block heater to work to preheat your engine. This is your ITR Oasis overflow bottle. This needs to be kept full. There's a full line here and the low level down below, so that needs to be checked and kept full. This is your transmission fluid fill and dipstick all in one. This is your air filter sensor. It tells you when you need to change your air filter. Your air filter canister is here, so this is what would need to be replaced. If you're running your engine and this diaphragm goes up past the green into the red when you're running at idle, that canister is getting blocked and needs to be replaced. The air that goes into this filter canister, that goes into the engine, goes through this tube all the way up into the corner at the top on that side, and those louvers at the top of that screen needs to be kept clear. So anything that's blocking the airflow there is going to block airflow to your engine. So keep that clean and clear. Need to check your lights and make sure they're all working before you travel. So he's got the brake on now. He's got left turn signal. We'll go right turn signal. Marker lights, emergency flashers. Those are your marker lights. And brake lights. So now he started the coach. We're going to put it in reverse. So you can see our backup lights should come on here. So these are your backup lights. So you've got two different plugs here. You've got one for the tow vehicle camera connection and one for your tow vehicle lights, braking, and for your Air Force braking here. So this is the grill or your radiator for your engine and your transmission. This needs to be clear so you get good airflow through here. Same as you do at the air intake up at the corner. This is another DEF fill. We looked at the emergency exit door earlier. That's for your dryer. That's your dryer vent. So that needs to be kept clear so the dryer vent can exit the hot air there. Again, your HWH jack pad is in between the two axles. Just make sure that they retract all the way and that the pad is in good shape. Here in the center, you've got your access door for your sewer hose storage. Marker lights, docking lights, and in our compartment here, we have our water bay.
So first of all, you have your hose reel. You can manually pull the hose out, and you can clip the hose into that little cutout there so that the door will close and you can still have your water connected. Once you're connected to your potable water source, the water will flow through that hose and over through this whole house filter.
Just beside our valves for winterizing is the fresh water filter. The filter has not been installed yet because this is a new coach. But to install the filter, we'd have to loosen these tabs remove this, drop the filter in, and then close it, put our tabs back to lock it in place.
Once you have your filter and your hose connected, then you have a selector here so that you can either manually fill your tank, your freshwater tank, by turning it to this position with the arrow pointing towards that. If you do that, you need to watch your tank level and turn this off when it gets full. Otherwise, it will just keep running out on the ground underneath the coach. You can also select city supply. So if you turn it on to city supply, it will take the water that's coming through this hose. It will go through the filter, and then it would just go into this manifold here and out to all the components in your coach without going through the fresh tank at all. It won't fill the fresh tank, and you can't use autofill if you choose this selection. It's a good selection to use if you're at a campground and you have water supplied to you all the time. You can also choose auto tank fill and city water supply. So it will do the same thing as the city supply did, but it will also allow you to turn on your autofill feature from your Silverleaf screen by going like to the water screen and turning on autofill. That can be done from any of the touch screens in the coach or your Rosie system. If we need to hook up a hose to get water from our coach, there's a water tap here. We can do that. We can hook up and take water and push it to somewhere else. This water distribution manifold here will allow you to turn the cold or hot water off to each component here that it shows. So exterior faucet, this outside shower would be the exterior faucet. I can turn the hot and cold off to that, or my shower, my ice maker, the washer dryer, or lav there in the back bathroom, the stool room, or the water heater. I could turn the cold water off to the water heater. If you're done using your coach and you're going to winterize it, I would leave all those open. I would come in here and I would open the hot and cold low point drains here. That would get water draining underneath my coach. I would also go in and open up the faucet so that air could come backwards and not create a hydraulic lock, and it would drain most of the water out of my lines. I would also come in here and open the low point drain here for the freshwater tank, and then I would flip my valves here. I would follow the winterize instructions right here and take this cap off, put this hose into potable water antifreeze, flip my valves here like the instructions say, turn on my water pump after I've closed these valves back up. I would turn my water pump on and it would suck the antifreeze in here, and it would go through and pump water through everything. And I would want to run all my appliances and each faucet and everything till I got pink out of them. One thing that I didn't mention before turning on the water pump is you'd want to take out your filters. You want to take out your filters in this whole house filter. You'd want to dump the extra water out of this, and you'd want to take out the filters like in your refrigerator. So once you've got antifreeze running through all your faucets and drains, toilets, appliances. You want to make sure that you run enough water through them, enough antifreeze through them, that it will winterize the P-traps as well. So once you have all that done, you can come back in, you can put your cap back on here, turn your water pump off, reverse your valves, and you can store this back out of the way. There is a small filter here, a screen filter on the water pump. It can be unscrewed, the screen can be taken out and checked for debris if you're not getting good water pressure off the pump. There is an O-ring in there that you need to make sure that's in place when you screw the housing back on, or it will leak. The outside shower can be used anytime that you want water out here to clean up or anything. Clean up your compartment here or whatever. You have hot and cold available here. It's a single handle faucet, so you can turn it on and then adjust the pressure, the temperature to your liking. Turn it off and store your sprayer up here in the holder. I'm going to attempt to tell you how to drain this system. Once you've been camping, you've used water, you've flushed the toilet and all that good stuff, you're going to get to a point where you need to dump your tanks. So remove this cover there, take your hose here, run it through. Okay. You want to take your cap off the end here and put that into your sewer dump station. Once you've done that, there's a gray valve back here at the back. If you follow this hose up, that valve is right here on that hose. You need to open that valve up. Once you have that valve open, this has electric dump valves on it, so you would want to open the dump valve just to make sure it's working correctly before you open the black tank. I recommend opening the gray tank just for a second, turning the RV SantaCon on, make sure everything's running, turning the RV SantaCon back off, turning the gray tank back off, and then opening the black tank. At that point, I open the black tank, I turn my RV SantaCon on, I wait till it's completely empty, I turn my RV SantaCon off, I close my valve, unless I'm going to flush. If I'm going to flush my tank, I go ahead while it's open, connect my water hose here, and allow that to flush while my black tank is open, and my RV SantaCon I would turn back on. Once I'm done flushing, before I remove my hose, I would open my black tank low point drain. That would take any pressure off of this hose before I disconnect it. Once I disconnect it, store my cover back up there and close the low point drain. Then I would proceed to dump the gray tank. So I would go ahead and open the gray tank valve, turn my RV SantaCon back on. Once it's completely empty, if I'm going to rinse my gray tank, I would do it at that time. Once my hose is hooked up and water's running into my gray tank, I would turn my RV SantaCon back on. Once I'm done flushing that tank, I would turn my RV SantaCon off. I would open my gray tank rinse valve to take the pressure off of there. I would disconnect my hose, put my cap back on, close my my gray tank low point drain valve back. I would go ahead and close my gray tank valve, and then I would be finished dumping at that point. I could take my hose, put my cap back on the end, close my gray valve that goes to my hose, and then pull this back up into place to store it. Put my cap back in place. There's another option to dump without using the macerator. If I have a 4-inch hose, I can remove this cover. I can put my 4-inch hose up through here, connect it right here onto this connector right here. I can pull this valve right here open. That releases the opening here into my macerator assembly. At that point, I would open my black tank valve and allow the black tank to completely dump. If I was going to rinse, I would go ahead and rinse the black tank by hooking the water hose up here. Then when I'm finished, open my low point drain to take any pressure off of it, remove my hose, close my black tank because I would be done dumping my black tank and rinsing it at that point. Then I would proceed to do the same procedure on the gray tank valve. I'd open the gray tank, let it completely empty. If I wanted to rinse it, go ahead and rinse that one. Once I was done rinsing it, close that valve. And then once that was complete, I would push this valve back in, disconnect to my 4-inch hose, take it out of this hose hole, and reinstall my cover. When you're doing that manually, you'll probably want to rinse your sewer hose before you put it away in your outside compartment there above that rear axle.
The touch panel screen in the water compartment shows the tank level, power levels, and your exterior lighting controls. So if we go to tanks, you'll be able to see after you empty your tanks and make sure that they are truly empty on the fresh gray and black. Or if you're filling the fresh, you'll be able to see at what level. So we can turn our water pump on here, our autofill, or our top off. And whenever we turn any one of those on, the blue icon for that comes on. If we turn it off, it goes out. If we go back to the home screen, we can go to the power. Power gives us the option of turning our generator on, starting it, stopping it. It gives us our voltage on our chassis batteries and our house batteries. We go back to the home screen. Our last icon is our exterior start and stop generator and our driver security passenger lights on and off.
When you're done using the water and you're ready to retract your hose rail, you can pull your hose out of the notch there, and there's a switch here on the side of the power reel that will rewind your hose. Once you have it wound up, take your cover and put back on your hose here so that you don't get any debris in your hose.
So our next compartment is our cord reel compartment. There is a warning label on here that just tells you what it is and that you don't want to exceed the voltage rating. Our cord reel is powered, so once we pull it out manually and plug in, when it comes time to store it, we can just retract it here. In this compartment, when we're plugged in, that power goes through our transfer switch. Our transfer switch is responsible for the power coming from either the generator or the short cord, and it transfers between the two. Whenever we have power coming in from the generator, it's going to use the generator power. If we lose the generator or that power, it will take the power from the cord. That power, whether it's coming in through the generator gray or the black cord at the bottom, goes in here and then into your coach, into your breaker box. It is displayed right here on this panel. It's called the RV Power Monitor, and it tells you how much power you have on each leg and how much amperage you're using on each leg. If you want to scroll up and down, you can use these small buttons here to view any faults and go back to the main screen. Below that, you have your plug for your cable, for your park cable. That can be viewed as long as the wind guard antenna is turned off. This is a 30 amp connection for a tow trailer. It is optional. Behind the cord reel is a cover. That is an ABS cover that's Velcroed on. When you pull it, the Velcro releases. Here it releases, and you can remove the panel to see the breakers, the mini breakers. And there's a legend on the back side of this that tells you what each one of those fuses or mini breakers is going to power up. So, for instance, if I had something like my hose reel wasn't working, my power hose reel wasn't working, it's F24, I would go to F24, pull the fuse. If it needed to be replaced, I would replace that fuse. There are small mini breakers at the bottom. Those are labeled B. The B label tells you that it's a breaker or B, and they can be reset. So if the small button on the center pops out, just push it back in to reset that breaker. You have your battery, house battery disconnect, and your charge bridge solenoid here. This connects the two battery banks together. This one just shuts off the house power or the house batteries so you don't have power inside the coach. When you're finished accessing this area, if you needed to service or replace a fuse, you just want to make sure and put this cover back on and make sure the Velcro strips are lined up. In this compartment is the ITR Oasis. This is your hydronic furnace for heat on the inside and for hot water. This has to be turned on at the top here, and the power has to be showing green in order for you to control the settings on the inside panels. If this isn't turned on, you won't be able to turn the furnace on the inside. If for any reason the control on the inside isn't working, but this one is on, we do supply a secondary panel that is a manual one that you can plug in here to your silver box cable and then connect this so that you can operate it manually. If any of the lower 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons are red, then you have an igniter flame out voltage or low water issue. If you see a red light, that means you have a fault and you should get to service. The ones that are up on the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all green. If they flash green, they're at a fault. So if you see a flashing green, that's a compressor fault. If you see a flashing fuel pump, that's a fault of the fuel pump, and those would require service. At the box on the right-hand side, the silver one, they are also green, but if they turn red, look at the label, and you'll have to have service on that as well. There are fuses in that box, so if you do have a red light, check the fuse first before you call service. When this is on, you'll see a flame through this window. back. It's a whitish orange flame when it's running, but there are two heating elements in here, so when the heating elements are on, you won't be able to see that, but you will be able to tell on the panel when they're on. Or you'll see it here as well. The green light will be on AC heat. So this has to be on in the wintertime. Remember, if you want to have protection against freezing in your water compartment. So to protect your water bay from freezing, make sure you turn this burner system on, not just the heating elements. This is a storage compartment with the tray that opens either way on both sides. There is a spigot right here that is the water line going to the refrigerator. You can turn off the 90-degree valve that controls the water line going to the refrigerator if you need to turn off the water that supplies to the refrigerator. On is in line. Or you can turn off the one that's on the red line. That is the supply valve going up front to the hot water line spigot. If you're not going to be using this spigot and it's in cold weather that's freezing, be sure and turn that one off and drain the water out of the front. This is the same tray that opens on the other side. This is your battery and inverter compartment for your lithium batteries and your inverter chargers. So these inverter chargers need to be turned on and left on. So you always want to have your inverter turned on because that supplies power to your refrigerator in case you have a power loss at your shore cord. So just remember, if you don't have your inverter turned on, make sure it is, because if you just leave it in charge, you won't have the inverter function. These inverter chargers do two things. They either take the energy out of the battery and give you 120 volt, supplying your kitchen appliances, or they take the energy that's coming into the shore cord and they charge the batteries that are getting lower. The controls for the charging and the inverting are done by the smart sensor charge controller up at the top. And the small blue lit button in the overhead above the driver's seat is a replica of the blue button on this box at the bottom that you can't see it. So if for any reason you needed to turn the lithium battery system off and the one in the overhead wasn't working, you could come out here and turn it off at the bottom one. It's the same blue LED button at the bottom of this BMS. If you do any removing of any of these items and you're not sure how it was wired, the wiring instructions, the schematic is right here. Just make sure you follow the schematic when you put the plugs back in place. Just on the side of the batteries here, there's a windshield wiper squeegee for cleaning your windshield. It's just put in here for storage. This is for your fuel. It fills the same tank as the opposite side. Marker light, docking light. So before you open the slide out, you want to check this gap between the fascia and the Z trim. This is Z trim, this is fascia. If this gap is too close or touching almost, you don't want to open the slide out. You want to get to a more level position or level area. Once you're in a more level area, then this gap should be even all the way around, and then you could operate your slide out or extend it open. You always want to do that when you're on air ride. So wherever you park or before you leave and you want to run your slide, make sure your airbags are full and you're on air before you extend or retract your slide out. In our most forward compartment on the driver's side is electrical. It has the spare fuses here. If you blow a fuse for any of the cockpit area, it has spare fuses in here if you blow anything on the chassis side. So whenever you look in this area, you're going to see these fuses have a red light just below them. So if you blow a fuse, that fuse can be removed. You can get one that matches it and put it back, because you'll see when you put it back, the red light that was on will go out when you put a good fuse in there. If you need to change a fuse on this, they're not labeled on the outside, but on the back side. So you can read what these are. On the board, you can see what each one's labeled. Like this one's the auxiliary battery, jack buzzer. This one is the 12-volt outlet. This one is the power window. So if any of those things aren't working, that's the fuse you'd check, because the name of that item is right beside the fuse. For this one, you have to take it off and you have to remove the panel and flip the panel over to see what the name is of what's not working. And then you would have to go to that fuse by number on the back side. So if let's say the seat didn't have any heat, you'd go to F23. Or if the radio didn't work, D2. Or let's say the blower is F33. So then you would go to that number, find that fuse or relay, pull it, replace it, and then check whatever it was that wasn't working, make sure it's back online, and then put your cover back in place.